is what we call
hater shit.
There is no better term.
With their father's family because I have not been safe. What do I mean by that? I've been bludgeoned with a tire iron. I have been sexually assaulted. I have been sleep deprived. I have been thrown out of my home unlawfully. I have been robbed. And some other really terrible things. I was jumped and stabbed by 3 women with tire irons while I was alone, unarmed. And it's important to note, just for all of this, that I've to like an attacked person who was being literally attacked sexually, physically, financially. We decided, basically, no one really decided. It was just like someone tried home invading my house in Roscoe Village, Chicago, which is typically like a pretty decent area, about 3 blocks away from Mariano's. I called 911. The children were home with me. It was like an older man, gray hair, in his probably 60s. And he was literally trying to home invade us. And going back in the residential records for that property, they had been catching people squatting because the property was located above a shoe store, apartments in it, but none of them were rented. Just one of them was rented. So a lot of like bums and drug addicts were like, breaking in there and like throwing parties or doing whatever kind of weird stuff they're doing. They might still be doing that. The only reason I say so is because I walked past it the other day and there was literally a shopping cart filled with like plants next to the trash can in the back. Like, it was just so weird, like plants and like cans. So like I said, this is a pretty decent area of Chicago, Roscoe Village. So it's pretty weird and creepy that someone would be breaking into my window. But I called law enforcement that day. It was Thanksgiving and I was like freaking out. And I'm like, I need 911 here. There's someone trying to break into my house. And I'm like, James Bond 00 whatever, like throwing my kids up against the wall, shielding them with my body, like telling them, okay, you guys, sit down on the floor. I put them in the bathroom where there's like minimal access to windows. I'm like, sit down on the floor, don't move, and mommy's gonna check something real quick, and I like secured them. And I'm calling 911, like going through the house with a knife, like trying to find if this guy is going to look for another point of entry or if I scared him away at the window, because there were really only 2 points of entry in the home. The doors weren't even really good points of entry because the doors are double doors with 4 locks on each door. So I would always get into the house through the garage because I parked my car there. I used the little garage door opener and then came in through that way. But besides that, there was like a little window behind my Mac desktop, which was a huge, massive computer that for the most part blocked the bottom part of the window. So you couldn't really see if someone was back there like messing around. And then in the bedroom, there was a huge window right above my bed, the master bedroom. My kid's bedroom was upstairs on the 2nd floor, so I wasn't really concerned about someone going in through their window. And then there was a laundry room. And in addition to our apartments, there were at least 2 or 3 other apartments. So a 2nd floor apartment that one of our friends lived in with his girlfriend, and then one more empty apartment in the front. And then, like I said, a shoe store. So, as I said, Roscoe Village is like supposed to be a very family-oriented and safe, kind of near Wrigley Field area. To have a man trying to break in through the window in the living room on Thanksgiving while I was home alone with my children was terrifying, to say the least. I called 911 and the police responded. They said that I was being, quote, hysterical and made me call my kids' fathers to come pick them up. The guy was like making fun of me because I'm writing a novel, which I'm on page 442. The white shirt, the police officer that responded was like, yeah, I won't hold my breath on that. Like, I guess they had seen the show and were being incredibly judgmental based on the false narrative that was being aired by the show. So that really hurt my feelings and I felt really frustrated, and I had only like 30 pages. I had just attended an author seminar at the Marriott O'Hare that weekend before. And he was just being such a dick, you guys. He was like, this officer, this white shirt, he was like, you're hysterical right now, so you're probably not in the best condition to watch your children. I'm like, I don't babysit my children. I'm a full-time mom. My kids live with me. A man was just trying to break into my house, all three of my children, and I witnessed it. Whatever. So I end up calling their dads to come and for the night and sitting down and getting started on my novel and some other content that I was creating. I literally wrote the ideas, the pilots, I call them, for the trilogies that same night, and started outlining on my novel. I'm on page 440 something now, handwritten, because every time I go to start typing it up, someone hacks my devices and starts inverting sentences, paragraphs. Like, if I write, that Wednesday came and I went to the store like it was a normal day, they'll change the sentence completely so that it's completely out of context. Like, something crazy happened that day. I was at the store. They changed the meaning entirely. And I've literally been at this for about 4 years now. You guys might remember when I was at Montclair, I was doing a whole bunch of photo shoot work and statement modeling work and fitness work and shooting a lot of fitness content, doing photo shoots. I had a private gym there, a semi-private gym there, that was only open to residents. And quite frankly, I was one of the only younger people who lived in the building. It was a lot of older people. So I was commonly just having access to the gym by myself, which I absolutely loved. I would sit down and literally be in front of my computer for 8 hours straight trying to type, and go back and read what I had written, and it would be all inverted. It was the most frustrating situation, which is when I started contacting the Civil Rights Department, which, you guys, if you go back to my HLG Forever _ account or the One Heather GEE account, you can clearly see all of the harassment and all of the people who have been charged with the RICO federal charges. Novel, you can't make your own live stream. You can't find something to talk about on your own podcast. You have to come onto my projects and spew your disgusting slander and libelous just bullshit. No, thank you, So I just continue to work on those things. You guys know I have 3 children and I'm about to have the 4th. I'm due on February 15th. Thank you, God. Xavier and I lost twin babies last year after I got pregnant, and I was very scared. I was just coming out of this whole entire controversy that was supposed to be stopped. This was supposed to be over. Lawyers were supposed to be assigned to this case already. Xavier's brother works for the district attorney's office in the state of Illinois, Carlos. So shout out to Carlos. He was also supposed to be working on this case. And they were aware of the dangers, associated that I had already faced. So I was expecting this to be over already, and for me to be back in my own home as I've been since I was 18 years old with my children. To say that I am disappointed would be the understatement of a lifetime, that I'm still sitting in this tent, 3 weeks from my due date, crocheting my baby a blanket and being periodically harassed by the same people who I was promised were already taken care of off the street and charged. I talk a lot about, bullying because it has been such a strong theme over the last 4 years. I've never in my life been a bully, you guys, ever. You could be fat, you could be skinny, you could have an eating disorder, you could be kind, you could be straight A student, you could be straight F student. I don't judge people on that shit. I'm just a very understanding, compassionate, and kind person, or I was, when all of this started. So it's been very difficult for me to continue spreading my word and creating campaigns and being creative in the face of such adversity. It's all curated, and I do want to press charges against everyone who's doing it. And that has been very well communicated to law enforcement as well as the FBI. The reason I think this subject is so important to continue discussing is because a lot of parents will say that we need to teach our children to be tougher or stronger. And I don't see it that way. I think we need to teach our children to be kinder. And if kind equals soft, then so be it. There is no reason to have these hateful attitudes. It's sickening. It literally changes the kindest people. if you find someone who's kind and sweet and you pick on that person for something that they have wrong or that they perceive to be wrong with themselves, they can ignore it for a while. The strongest of people can, but after a while, even the strongest of people cannot. It becomes intrusive to other areas of their life. Say, for instance, I'm doing a live on Instagram and I start getting stalked via phone. And it's someone continuing to perpetuate a false narrative about me. Now, not only is my business following and my personal blog following and my production show following being tainted with these constant interruptions, those are all cash flow opportunities. Going live on a social media, even if you're not getting paid directly from your social media platform, there are tremendous opportunities for not only residual income, but income in other ways as well. You could be a direct-to-consumer salesperson. You could be a direct-to-consumer consultant. You could be, any number of things, a coach, any number of these things. How easy is it to do business when you have nothing but people in your comments telling you, kill yourself, your tooth is ugly, you're fat? Well, you know what? There's a laundry list of things about you, Susan, or Shaniqua, or Lupe, just to put all the races in there. Who else? Ming, so that no one accuses me of being racist. Like, all of you people, no matter what color you are, no matter what race you are, and no matter what gender you are, you have no place in my comments or anyone else's cutting them down. It's absolutely disgusting, and I do not support it at all whatsoever. And when we're talking about behaviors that we can track as to causing people who are otherwise quiet, peaceful, loving, caring individuals, when we track and study the effects of long-term bullying on those people, many of them stay kind until they've reached their saturation point. And then we're wondering why there are mass shootings. We're wondering why there are, homicide rates that are so alarmingly high, and why there are is the number one coping method for the middle-aged group. For us, for the under middle-aged group, so I think it's 30s, 20s, teens, it's depression. So you have the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Most people are dealing. Can you? Are assholes to each other. We're supposed to be saying, okay, we have technology more than we've ever had it before. We have communication more than we've ever had it before. We have affordable clothing. We have affordable and very viable options for buying clothes and shoes and things of this nature for prices that are reasonable. Let's look at Five Below. Let's look at the dollar store. We can put our children selling, designer products at Ross and Marshalls and TJ, Maxx for a fraction of the price. We are also introduced for under 10 or 20. And that's the world that we're living in, where we have so much opportunity at our fingertips. There is no reason to be using our energy to mislead, badger, harm, confuse, terrorize other people. At the same time, there have been a lot of groups, racist groups, elitist groups, groups that have been operating in a cult-like way, that have been pushed to the forefront of awareness through technological functions such as Facebook. Facebook started allowing people in, I believe, 2009, but I could be mistaken as for the year, to create groups. What happened is you create a group and you call it I Love to Crochet. Now a bunch of people who love to crochet can join your group, and you guys can all have conversations about how you love to crochet. You can crochet together. You can make projects. You can share, whatever. When that happened, groups started being created that people began to join and feel confident in being a part of. Whereas before, you might be ashamed or embarrassed to be a bully or to be racist or to be any one of these things. Facebook allowed these people to team up together and sort of egg each other on. And that was the first real life technological opportunity where people were exposing themselves for what they really. with technology because of the exposure, but at the same time, it has to blow up. It's the calm and then the storm where they're called out and these people are put on blast, so to speak, or canceled for something that they've said. And I have felt that personally in my life. I have felt the effects of people feeling like strangers. If you're going to be an asshole, I'll be an asshole too. And they gang up on me. And I'm a 30-something-year-old woman, 29, if anyone asks. But it hurts me. It has put me into tears. Has made me consider a lot of terrible things that I would never have considered normally. And so I wonder, what is the 12-year-old who's on the receiving end of this targeting feeling? And a lot of times parents have no idea this is even happening. Sick. So when I have these conversations and I want to just talk about updates and what's going on with my living situation and my educational background and what type of work I've done in the past and what I hope to do in the future. I don't have any criminal record, thank God, because getting a job, if you do, is incredibly difficult. I do have experience in almost every single niche that there is, whether it's entertainment, healthcare, entrepreneurship, sales, marketing. I have a plethora of experience in all of those fields, and I can effectively lead any sort of team to success financially. But you're only as good as your technology is today. No one is getting rich selling items one by one to people on the street. Shopify, e-commerce, shipping stores. If you don't have access to a laptop and a cell phone and internet, you're not going to make it, in business. That's just, I'm sorry to tell you, that's it, period. You need to have that. You need to have the ability to reach the masses. And once you do, now you're in the game. With my technology being restricted, being put in the quote unquote tech box, as I refer to it as, it has been incredibly difficult, if not 100% impossible to make money. I love my children so much because, besides being my whole entire world, they open up and expose numerous other demographics. What can you do with that information? Well, that's easy. If I ask my 10-year-old what's popular at school, she's going to have an answer. If I ask my 15-year-old boy what's popular at school, he's going to have an answer. And if I ask my 17-year-old daughter what's going on, what's popular at school, she's going to have an answer. So it's almost like having insider knowledge of the next big thing. Because let's be honest, as parents, we want to give our kids the world and what everyone else loves and our children love. We want them to have access to that. Having that knowledge of what that is, it opens up the world to, for money-making opportunities, other than what you're aware of. As a 37-year-old woman, what would I know about the world if I didn't have children? I would know what your average 36-year-old knows, right? I would know what women like me like to wear, what we like to eat, how we do our hair, places we like to hang out, and I would pretty much know nothing about school-age children. So I'm very, very blessed that I was a mother at a young age, and I know for a fact my children have saved my life on a number of occasions, just because you want to give up after a while, especially when you are, being just dragged through, a bed of nails or coals or both, so to speak, on a semi-regular basis. So I'm very grateful, and I know that I have the knowledge. So if you guys are looking to discuss how you make money or how you can make money as an influencer other than with lives and direct-to-consumer sales online, I have a whole game plan for that. Besides marketing, besides influencer marketing, besides collaborations, besides looking just for problems. We all know that as an entrepreneur, the best way, the fastest way to find something that people want to buy is to listen to them, hear what their problem is, and then come up with a solution for them. Put a price tag on that solution, boom. Now you're in business, right? How can you do that if you don't even have access to technology or the outside world? If you're literally living in a box and you can only sell to yourself, then you make nothing, So I'm really excited for technology civil lawsuits to be filed. 36 weeks, 6 days pregnant today. Baby number 4. I got his first newborn layette, which was like a 30-pack of newborn clothes. Sorry, you guys, the battery on my backup phone just went out, so I lost my lighting. But everything, the backup, what was I saying? I'm distracted by the losers in the comments putting rows of eggplants. What was I gonna say? I don't know. Either way, if you guys follow me here, you can also follow me on Insta, coco.chanel, CHANELLE.YSL, or my production page, a GoPro solo production. And there I'm working on things kind of similar to Dar Man and his media group, but with less acting and more statement. So that's what it means, statement modeling. It's like the issues that matter most to me and to my peer groups and the people I see struggling with them that are bothering me. It's my way to kind of speak on them without speaking on them. So thank you guys so much for listening again as I continue to update you. I really, truly, genuinely look forward to bringing you guys more regular content that isn't about all of the ways my human, civil, and constitutional rights have been violated. There are going to be a lot of people who are serving a lot of time and money, for these ongoing offenses. And as I said before, every single day that I'm separated from my children unlawfully is another dollar amount of its own. So everyone have a great evening. I think the next campaign needs to be on compassion and how to handle bullies. And then, from there, like I said, the legislation needs to go through the platform. If you're a platform that's allowing someone to send 10 rows of eggplants in their live 6 times over 5 minutes, you should be fined. And I think that by creating these huge sanctions and taking this very seriously, we can stop and prevent this issue immediately. As I said before, it's very simple to identify these people, who they are. They are ballsy, they are repetitive, they are blatant, and they don't care, in any way. So if we can do better on that, which I know that we can, we can kind of curtail some of the safety issues that parents are worried about with the internet and the rapidly advancing technological field. Again, as I said, I'm grateful that you guys tuned in. If you've been following along with me since Love After Lockup, thank you so much. If you have been supporting me or sponsoring me in any way, thank you so much. Hit me up on Instagram if you would like. I am currently living in Chicago. I am used to traveling for photo shoots. For the past 2 years, I have had my feet firmly planted in Chicago. I have not traveled in 2 years. The 4 years prior to that, I was taking about 10 to 20 trips a year on average, mostly to Florida, Tampa Bay, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Atlanta, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama. And that was just literally for road trips, for shooting content, for looking for different ways to heal myself. I called it wellness training. I do have a background in medical law and ethics as well as personal training. So I was doing a lot of trying to reconnect with and ground with the outdoors in different capacities and just get away from the negativity. I took that to social media and the negativity seemed to follow me there. So I was being followed in person. I do have police reports for that as well as videos posted to my Instagram. The earliest account of that is on One Heather GEE, where literal formations of vehicles would be following me down the street at high rates of speed, and I would have to, get it, capture it on camera and turn it into law enforcement. To this day, not a single member of law enforcement has called me directly out of, uniform. In uniform. Every member of law enforcement that has contacted me and said that they were there to, quote, protect me has been in undercover clothing. They've presented me a badge. They've picked me up in cars with LE plates, but they have never been in an actual uniform. So it's very interesting to see the progression of this harassment and unlawfulness. As I said, I'm a mom. Period. First and foremost, God did that. No one can take that from me. I am a mom. So if you want to see your mom being treated and berated and harassed the way that I'm, being treated and berated and harassed, then, keep on with this and invest in, ways to continue covering up for these people. If you can't imagine seeing someone that you love treated this way, maybe make a different decision. So you guys have a great night. As I said, there's a whole bunch of stuff I'd like to say to the people who, as I said before, think that it's acceptable to tell people to kill themselves or that they're ugly or that they're fat or that they're not worth it. Every single thing that you put out, it will come back. And that's been one of the biggest lessons I've gone through my life since I was a little girl, trying to figure out what I have ever done to deserve this, to deserve